Okay, welcome to the channel. My name is Victor, and this is the CompTIA A+ certification. So, Southtech, or our affiliate company, Klakachi, is an accredited provider for CompTIA certification. So, if you want to take CompTIA A+, if you want to take CompTIA Security Plus, or you want to take penetration testing certification by CompTIA, this is a channel where you could get all of those guides. If you have questions, don't forget to ask. And if you're trying to prepare for DevOps, you're trying to prepare for cybersecurity, you're trying to prepare for cloud computing, you want to become a cloud engineer, CompTIA A+, or the Cisco version, which is ITE, that is Information Technology Essentials, is like a foundation course, is a foundation skill set that you need to also have so that you can do well. Because networks, hardwares, softwares, operating systems are foundations to all of these other intermediate level areas in tech. So now we are in the chapter 6, operating system, which is, I think, in the section 2 of the core 2 of the curriculum. Just a second. I think I've messed up my, okay, let me go up a bit. I think I've messed up, okay, let's see, just a second. Okay, good. So this is core 2, the part 2 of the certification. So we're going to be looking at operating system. So operating system is very, very key, very, very important. Okay, so we have the core 2 objective 1.1. The goal here is to be sure that you can identify the different Windows editions. So you have right from the DOS, you have, I'm very much aware of 95, 98, XP, then Windows 7, I think Vista, then Windows 8, then what else again? Then we had 10, I think 8, then 8.1, then we had 10, then of course we are now in 11. So you should be able to understand all of those editions, understand what the interface looks like, what it represents. Then given a scenario, use the appropriate Microsoft command tools. It doesn't hurt to know top 20 CMD commands, right? It doesn't hurt. So you want to be able to do things like ping, netstart, make directory, ipconfig, trace sat, copy, tax list, system file checker, do check digs. Basic things, you should be able to do them as a desktop, as a PC technician. Now, given a scenario, use features and tools of the Microsoft Windows 10 operating system. Yes, either the Windows 10 operating system or the Windows what's it called, 11 operating system. You should be able to use the environment. Then given a scenario, use the appropriate Windows settings. So depending on what you're trying to do in the control panel, depending on what you're trying to do in the setting, are you trying to set the time? Are you trying to set the what's it called? Maybe the screensavers, are you trying to set the display? All of those settings, you should be very comfortable being able to do that. Then give it a scenario, configure Microsoft Windows networking features on the client. So you want to be able to do Wi-Fi, you want to be able to do basic Bluetooth, you want to be able to send files, you want to be able to maybe add the printer and share it on a network. Now, given a scenario, apply application installation and configurations concept. So it then means that as a technician, as a somebody with a CompTIA A+ certification, you should be able to install applications, install softwares. Then explain the common operating system types and their purposes. So you have for even different editions, you have what we call different types. Take, for instance, we have the education, we have the business, we have the home edition, we have the different types of the different operating systems. Now, how do you do upgrades? Then you want to be able to identify common features between the Mac and the desktop OS. Right? So let's move on. So these are some of the things we want to learn in this very module. So, and of course, identify common features. Okay, we talked about that. Between Linux clients and desktop OS. I think yesterday I talked about the Linux environment, where we talked about virtualization. Many Windows versions have been used over the years, each bringing changes and features and appearances, but all the versions have used similar installation methods. For the 220110 A+ exam, the focus is on Windows 10. Windows 11 is not specifically mentioned in the objectives, if you check very well, because I think this exam came in like 2-3 years ago from now. So Windows 11 was not so much in use. I think in the next few months coming, we should have a newer version of this exam. So this is the best time to write the exam, because typically you wouldn't be tested on Windows 11 features, all of that, except you have a better version of the exams. Okay, so there's a part here that tries to test your skill on some of these items. So we're going to skip that and we're going to move to the training proper. Okay, basic features of Microsoft Windows Edition. So let's look at some of the features of Microsoft, the Windows editions. Windows 11 was launched in the second half of 2021, just about the same time we had the Core 1 and the Core 2 exam of CompTIA. That's why most of the time it's not really tested. Although the user experience is usually different and the network experience is more seamless. For instance, in Windows 11, I've seen very, very close features as we had in Windows 7. Knowing the Windows 10 OS is key to understand the foundation of 11. So if you can use Windows 10, it's not going to be too hard for you to use Windows 11. Of course, this system I'm using now runs on Windows, what's it called? Runs on Windows 11. So most of the interfaces are very similar. Most parts of the interface is very, very similar, very, very similar. Windows 10 editions. So you need to understand that the different editions of Windows, rather, Windows have the different editions. So we have the home. Now, this is commonly found in OEMs. OEMs are original equipment manufacturers. You all know that most vendors, I will mean the big players, they will normally outsource their production to other companies or other kind of factories to help them produce devices. Now, Windows 10 Home is most commonly found pre-installed through an original manufacturer such as Dell and HP. Pro. So Pro has some more features. Then, of course, you have Pro for workstations, right? That's typically for desktops. Then you have Enterprise. Then you have, okay, so let's look at some of the features. In Windows 10, you have Home, Pro, Workstation, and Enterprise. So, of course, you have Business, Windows 10 Business, right? So, this is Windows 10 Business. And one thing you need to know about the different operating systems is that they are meant to have varying features. And each of the features is going to meet certain needs, either for consumers or for business or even for educators. I think you also have the Windows 10 Education or Education version. So that is mainly for educators. So it's going to have things that you can use to manage multiple computers. It's going to be able to have features for that kids can use either to draw or to collaborate or to write exams, or all of those kind of features based on the softwares too that Microsoft has, and is able to help them for the other softwares and applications that Microsoft have. So mainly for academics. So you have these different, so you have more, not just these three, just to point that out to you. So domain access and work group. The home, it has this. Pro has both of them. This, they have just domain, and what's it called? Enterprise and workstation have domain. Desktop styles and control. No, no, yes, yes. Because of the power, you're going to have a lot of power users here. Then you're going to need this. Then remote desktop clients, remote desktop computing, it's going to be possible. Here, what's going to be possible? You're going to do client only. That means you can be controlled by somebody else. Pro, you can be host and client. Pro for workstations, you can be host and client. Enterprise, you can be host and client. RAM, how much RAM minimum for installation? One thing you need to understand if you are going to be doing maintenance, if you're going to be doing troubleshooting, is that for you to install an application, install an operating system, one of the first things you want to be aware of, one of the first things you want to be after to make sure that it's taken care of is the minimum requirement. Every operating system have a minimum requirement for installation. Every software have a minimum requirement for installation. Take, for instance, if you are installing AutoCAD, let's say 2023. So you're going to be asking minimum requirement or system requirement. So you cannot just install this on any system. Take, for instance, for AutoCAD 2023, you need a minimum of 8 gig RAM. And your disk space should be at least 10 gigs. So even if you have 15 gig space left, you can still install AutoCAD 2023. Then your resolution should be very sharp because you're going to be doing 2D rendering, 3D, 6D, 7D, and the rest. Different kind of renderings because it's heavy on the imagery and the rendering part. Then, of course, you need minimum 8 gig RAM, but recommended 16 gig. Right? Processor, you should be having 2.5 gigahertz processor. Not like if you have slightly lower than this, some operating system might be able to cope and accept that. But we're talking about the minimum requirements specified by the manufacturer, And you need to have at least Windows 10. And you know, for every version of Windows, they have the build. So the build is like up to the update, normally versionized, because you're going to have something like version 10, sorry, Windows 10, version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, version 5, up to version 1809. And what are versions? So versions are like updates. Versions are like additions to the base operating systems. So we're saying that for AutoCAD, these are our minimum requirements. So we're saying that if we need to install Windows 10 home, we just need 1 gig and we're good to go. And for all of these guys, with 2 gig, they are fine. And of course, if you check let's say if you say Windows 10 minimum requirement, you're going to see the minimum requirement and you're going to see the recommended. So it's normally good to go for the recommended to check what makes sense so that you can actually enjoy the operating system. Because if you don't if you don't use the recommended or at least slightly above the minimum requirement, the system is going to drag. The system is going to be sluggish. The system is going to be very slow. And of course, BitLocker, it's the drive encryption utility for, of course, the hard disk. So does it have it? No. Does it have it? All of this have. Then will you be able to do what's it called? Group edits. Will you be able to do that? No. Yes, yes, yes. So because this is home, this is meant for maybe a user in a will be able to edit group policies. So you won't be able to do that. So will you be able to enable that? Most likely you're not able to do that because you're using a home. You're using like a normal user, not a pro or power user. So you have quite a lot of differences. So this is what I just explained. Domain, desktop styles, remote computing. Can you do remote desktop computing? Can you do a connection? is that protocol enabled? Then what's your minimum RAM? BitLocker, so that's that guy that's going to help encrypt your hard disks. That security feature, we'll see more of that in chapter 7 of this. Then group policy edit, we'll be able to do that. And then, of course, upgrade paths. Let's look at upgrade paths. So the idea is that if I have Windows 10 home, can I move to a higher version? What is going to be possible for me to move up to? Right? So that's what we're looking at. So home to pro, is it possible via command line? No. Product key, yes. I've done this severally, right? Purchase license from Microsoft Store, will you be able to do that? Can you go to the Microsoft Store for keys? Microsoft Store key, Windows 10. Can you be able to upgrade with that? Let's check. You don't want to get just a second. Microsoft Store. Yes. Let me get to just a moment. Yes, I think we can get that from here. Let's say Windows App Store, depending on what you want to buy. Key, let's say Windows. This is 365. Let's say Windows Windows 10 Pro. So try Pro, Windows 10 Pro. I'll find something here. Well, I actually wanted to get this from Microsoft directly. Think just a moment. Let me see how to navigate their site and get that out. Most likely you're able to purchase most. So this is Microsoft in Education, Office, Education, but I needed the operating system. Let me see if I can find that. Office, Microsoft, utility, power, store. Let me search. Let me say Windows 10. I want to purchase Windows 10. I want to try. I want to download. I want license key. Let me see if we can find that. Okay, support, activation. Of course, several other okay, install. Now this is just an instruction. So if you navigate the Microsoft site, you'll be able to see where they have a store where you're able to purchase licenses. Of course, if you check Microsoft your country, depending on where you're watching from, you're able to buy purchase a product key. Once you purchase that product key, then can you be able to upgrade? So the answer is yes. But for home, you won't be able to do that via command line. Then from Pro to Pro Workstation via command line tool, can you be able to do that? Then the product key, you don't need to reboot, no reboot. I've done upgrades severally, or you have an evaluation version and you want to put a key and activate your license. Okay, so these are just instructions on how to do that, either as command prompt or via PowerShell. Let's look at some command line utilities. ipconfig, what does it do? So the idea is, as a technician, doing some basic troubleshooting, you might need to understand these tools. How do I know what my IP address is? How do I know which router I am connected to? How do I know my network adapters, what configurations I have currently? So let's try that out. So we'll go to CMD. We simply say, just a second, we simply say, okay, I want to do an IP config. So an IP config is going to give me network, sorry. An IP config is going to tell me all of the adapters I have on this computer, right? So it's going to tell me, okay, you have wireless adapter 1, it's not connected. Then wireless adapter 2, I think my VLAN or my VMware use any of these two. Okay, LAN connection. Sorry. Yes, this wireless LAN connection. Media is connected. Okay, this should be my what's it called? My VMware. They added 2 adapters to my PC. Then my actual adapter on this system. So I have 192.168.1.120. So my default gateway is this. That means the router I am connected to is 192.168.1.1. You can check up the channel. You're going to see a comprehensive training series on Cisco networking, CCNA 1. That is Introduction to Networking, where we talked about different types of networks, connecting media, routers, switches, different protocols, IP address, differentiating between version 4, version 4, version 6, and all of those different details, right? This is the version 6 of version of my IP address. How to minify or make compact the IP address. This is like the minified version. And octets, how they built, how do we know this is 32 bits and this is 128 bits? So all of those details are on the channel. You can check out the channel. You're going to see that. Okay, so that's ipconfig. It just tells me my adapter. There's another command that is ipconfig/all. This guy gives me thorough detail. Now, it tells me the MAC address of tells me the name of the host, what kind of network I'm running, my adapter, what is the MAC address. So the MAC address is the physical address. You can't have an IP address on an adapter if it's not connected to your router or a layer 3 switch. Get that very correctly and get that very right. Now, I remember a student sometime, it's been a long time, he was trying to do his certified ethical hacker labs, preparation for his exams. And he was trying to do some stuff and he was saying, please, what is my IP address? I asked him, what are you connected to? He said he was not connected to anything. I said, if you're not connected to anything, then you shouldn't be looking for your IP address because your IP address is your identifier. So there are different identifiers for a device. It can be a phone, it can be a smartwatch, it can be a laptop, it can be an IP phone, it can be a printer. So there are different identifiers for all of these devices. So 1 is your IP address, 2 is your MAC address, and some of these devices have what we call loopback address, right? So for the MAC address, it's physical, is ingrained, is from the manufacturer, but the IP address is assigned to you anytime you connect to the network via ARP DNS protocol, right? So you cannot get an IP address if you're not connected to something. So that's why you see this guy does not have an IP address. This guy also, the second guy here, does not have an IP address, the second LAN adapter. But the third guy here that I am using to connect does have an IP address. So what's the IP address? This guy here, right? And this is my default gateway, right? So that's why if I pick this IP address and drop here, you can tell the particular router I am connected to. So I'm using an LT router. I'm in Nigeria. I'm in the city of Abuja. I'm using an Airtel router. It's a 4G router. It's connected. You have 2 persons on it. You could get into the router to do MAC filtering, to do some basic configurations and the rest. So just doing ipconfig/all on, or even ipconfig alone, you could get some of all of these details at the MAC address. So let's go back to the guide. So that's ipconfig. Another command line tool you can use is ping. So ping is meant, you can do CLS, you're going to clear your screen. So ping is try to check for connectivity. So you can ping southtechventures.com to see if it is up and running. So I have an IP address presented to me, given by the hosting service via DNS protocol. So DNS is domain name services. So these are basics of networking. So if it returns back with 100% and 0% loss, it then means I have full connectivity, right? I have full connectivity, no downtime, no issues. But if you ping and you lose some percent of packets, what is going to happen? Ping is just going to send in some packets of data, like some hello, hello, hello to this guy and wait for reply. If it comes back and everything sent is received, it then means that this guy is active. So that's a ping command. So look at it here, see it being exemplified. You have ping.cisco.com. Then you have hostname. Hostname will just tell you the name of the PC. You can also get this detail when you do ipconfig. So if I say hostname, sorry, yes, hostname. If I say hostname, it's going to tell me what's the name of this PC, right? If I say ipconfig, it can still tell, okay, if I say ipconfig/all, it's going to tell me the name, I guess. It's still going to tell me the name of, yes, it's still going to tell me the name. So the ipconfig/all is going to tell me the name. If I do a host name, it's still going to tell me the name of the computer I am connected to. And quite a lot. I would advise you, you can test out all of these things and get your hands dirty and look up all of these commands. It's not bad to have about 20, 25 in your head to be able to do some basic troubleshooting. So you have net start. So you have ns lookup, you have checklist. I remember when you had hard disks that was not so thorough, they didn't have a lot of error corrections, you going to do this a lot. But most hard disks these days have a way they can correct anomalies. They have a way they can correct most of these issues that has to do with either write or read errors. So check this is just to check the health of your hard disk to see if it is fine, if it's healthy. And it can also help you to do some basic fix if you have a hard disk that maybe have some slight issues in terms of read-write. Then you have manage user. Net user is going to see most of the users you have on the computer. So you can use that to add, remove, and change. I think I've used this command to do to try to hack my way through into a Windows 10 system that the person forgot his username and password. So if you check and research more the net user, it can do quite a lot of advanced stuff. Then, of course, you have net use, you have tracer. Tracer is going to tell you how many hops, how many networks you have between your own network and where you are going to trace route. Trace route will still do almost the same thing. Then you have Xcopy. It's going to help you copy files from one destination to the other. So I will advise you to practice most of these commands. Group updates. What else again? Task kill. This will typically do what your task manager is going to do for you. If you want to kill a particular application, just like you have office.exe, notepad.exe, if you check your Windows directory, you're going to see the executable file. That is the file that runs, that's normally your desktop that powers those applications. So if you want to kill them, you can use the command like geek, or you could just do Control-Alternate-Delete. That is this. You could do Control-Alternate-Delete, and you can now cancel any application you don't want. If you want to cancel this application, this particular one we are running on, our command line, you just end tax. So this should be, if you check the, what's it called? Just a second. Expand. Let me see. Services. Just looking for something. Processes, apps. Windows command processor. Okay, let me see. Kill Windows command. So I want to get the what's it called? I want to get the extension, the particular extension. Okay, so one thing you can do is that you can actually kill a particular application. And another thing you can do is that, because this is for Notepad, so what about if I need to, let's clear screen, CLS. If I need to check tax list, if I need to see all the items I have running currently. So I see my Chrome, my tax manager is running, so I can easily kill maybe tax manager. See the way so it has to be exact. Tax manager.exe. So that particular application is going to be done. Windows version. So you can tell which Windows version you are running on. So it's going to bring that up to you and tell you, okay, you're running Windows 11 operating system. It's licensed to this person. The build is 21H2. 220. So I think it's a very recent version because my system will typically update almost every week. Okay, so I think that's that. So get to know more about more command prompts. It's going to help you. Same thing applicable to the PowerShell. You could do check this, you could do ping. You have format also. So if you want to format, you could format with your CMD, or you could just right click the item, you'll be able to format. Let me attempt that. So right click. So this is my hard disk. So you click on format. It's going to tell you, oh, we cannot format this volume because this is the main drive for this particular PC. If there's a flash drive or there's a pen drive or there's something attached to this system, I could right click and do format, and it's going to bring me this option. Most of us were able to do basic formatting. Okay, so this is about using formats in the command prompt. Format, you have to, if you just say format the particular drive, it will just format default. I think maybe with FAT. So if it indicates the type of file type, you have FAT, you have XFAT, you have NTFS, you have different file types. So file types are typically the what's it called? The structure of the file. Let's say FAT versus NTFS versus X, FAT versus what else again? So that different file formats. That also tells us what they can be used for. That can also tell us what they are best used for. That can also tell us how much gig maximum they can take, right? So just a little, what's it called? Let me see if I can get an image that's going to like explain. Okay, yeah, I think this is fine. I'm going to use this to explain them to you. Good. I love using, oh, this is not so clear. Oh, history, this. I think I didn't allow this guy to load the bits. Open image in a new tab. Okay, good, awesome. So if we have, I think I didn't get this right. It's not what I wanted. Okay, let's just differentiate between FAT and FAT32 and NTFS in terms of features. So what is possible with them? So what's the maximum? Okay, in terms of partition size, the character, that's why you see most hard disks now is going to be NTFS. FAT32 is actually older for older hard disks or smaller flash drives, pen drives. They're going to be in FAT32. But you see, newer drives you're going to have option of NTFS. If I go to my disk management on my computer, my system, if I try to do some formatting in my disk management, it's going to give me option to do quite a lot. So I'm using a 1 terabyte on this PC. If I right click and say, okay, let me just right click this and say, okay, can I do this? Oh, there's no pen drive close to me. Just a second. Let me see if I can get one. Okay, so I just added a 500 gig hard disk. Basically, a part of the hard disk or the flash drive or the pen drive is going to be reserved. So I just added the 500 gig hard disk here. And so I have two partitions here. So if I right click on one and I say format, it's going to give me an option. So this is NTFS, this is X FAT, right? FAT is a little bit older as FAT32. So I think this FAT is kind of extended version, just like you have PCI extended. So it's just like a better version or fat. So you can actually format, you can format quick, or you can also enable file compression. You want to be very careful when you're trying to do this. So this is just to tell you that you can actually format, and just a second. So that's how to actually format a drive. Now you can see that the drives here is C drive, you have D drive, you have F drive. So if I get back to my CMD, now the question is, how do I, okay, I think if I do lists disk, lists drive, lists, is this, okay, lists, class screen, lists, question mark, wow. Why is this not showing? Let's check. Lists drive in CMD. Type fs util, fs info drives, and hit enter. This is pretty long. Let me see this. Just a second. Okay, good. It did that. FS FS utility, FS info drive. So it shows. So if I say format F, so that means I'm going to be formatting. I'm going to be formatting this guy. I'm going to be formatting this guy. I'm going to be formatting this guy. If I say format D, I'm going to format this guy. If I say format D, C, I'm going to format my C drive. Okay, let's try it on. So that's how to, so you have copy command. Like I said, these are very basic commands. You're able to do them. You should try them out. I know about 20, 30 commands. It will help you. At least then you have disk partition, very important command, but you can also do disk partitioning via the GUI interface. Check this will actually help you fix errors, group updates. Okay, Microsoft Windows 10 operating system features and tools. Okay, let's look at some features. What makes Microsoft Windows 10 unique? So what are the features? The first thing is Task Manager. We've used Task Manager a while ago. Control-Shift-Escape. Right-click on the task bar and select the Task Manager. Press Control-Shift-Escape. Type Task Manager in the search box. I will typically just do a Control-Alternate Delete and select Task Manager. So the Task Manager shows you all of the things happening on the system. I pray you're able to see this. So this is just similar to this, right? So it shows you all the things that are running, your apps, your processes, your background stuff, all the things happening in your system. So this is the description of each of those things, the processes. Things are processed in processes in your memory. Then performance, what's happening. If I check my performance, let me see that now. I can see that I'm using 20% of my CPU. I'm running a very low-end Core i3 2.10 gigahertz. What's it called? CPU. It's just a Core i3. I'm running 20 gig RAM. I'm using just for 74% right now. My hard disk, I'm using a 1 terabyte. I'm using just 0.34%. So it shows you real time my Wi-Fi, my GPU, my graphics. So it tells me what is actually happening right now. So this is the details of all of that, the app history, right? What are the things I've looked at? My startup, what are the softwares that runs when I boot up my system? There's this utility I normally use, CC Cleaner, to actually remove the things I don't want to start up when I switch on my computer. Now, you see some PCs, if you start them up, before they get to desktop, they're going to take quite a while. Why? Because of the startup applications. So if you can disable the startup applications, then you see these ones are enabled. If you can disable the startup applications, once the system gets to the desktop area, it's going to typically be okay for you to start using. So you don't need to wait extra time. before you start using the system. So you have the Microsoft Management Console also. So instead of hunting for different utilities in different places, you have everything here. So if I say Microsoft Management Console, just a second. Let me search again. Microsoft Management. Why is it possible I'm not seeing that on my PC? To open MMSC Runbox file, okay, I think I might have to add it up on my system. A new blank MMC appears to add to the console. So what happens is that this holds quite a lot of the other smaller applications, right? It holds things like your event viewer. If you say event view, I think my event viewer works. If I say event viewer, it's all part of the console. Your event viewer, the disk management. Let me open the event viewer so that you can see what I mean. So event viewer is going to tell you all of the things that's happening in your PC. Let me go away from, okay, let me go back just a second. Let me go back, let me go a step file. Let me say disk. I'm trying to get something. Disk manage, disk management, create and format disk. Let me see if I'm going to see the console here. I think it's already open here. I can't get that. I wouldn't say I'm going to get that and record and send back. So see how to sort that out, because you see the disk management, the event viewer, and several other basic utilities. They are all part of the console. So I don't know why mine is not coming up. So let me just try it on. So you have computer management. Let me see computer management. Computer management. Let me see if I'm able to get it from there. Okay, good. So you see it. So you have event viewer, local user groups, performance, device manager, a disk manager. But normally you can go straight to each of these utility by just searching for them. If I want to go to my device manager, I just say device manager, where I want to see all my devices and the drivers accompanying them, right? But if you go to computer management, in the console, you're able to see, you're able to see everything. Okay, let's try it on. The event viewer, like I said, is going to tell you all of the logins with date and time. You're going to see that in your event viewer. This is it. Everything that happens based on security application setup and system. You're going to see the items, see the dates they occurred and their sources. I just used this management a while ago, so you can see your drive status and you can actually format a drive. Task scheduler, you can use that to schedule tasks. These are different utilities you have in your computer management. Same thing with device manager. You can see all of the drives, all of the, say for instance, let me go to device manager. Say for instance, you have a printer and you're not sure if the drivers are installed, or you have your computer display, you want to know the driver, or you have a camera, you want to know if the driver is installed or it's not installed. This is where you can do all of those configurations. So you can update the driver, you can remove the driver, you can scan for hardware changes, you can install the driver. So that can be done in device manager. Like I said, your CAM, your PCI devices, you see typically all the hardware's input-output devices you have on your computer in device manager. That's where you can manage your device. So they are grouped to general properties, driver, details, policies, resource volume, power management. Let me go there again. Right, so this is the entire system. Then if I click on this display, for instance, properties, I'm not seeing anything real good. Let me see camera, for instance, properties. Okay, drive, depending on the driver. So you have, you can tell if the driver is installed, the version of the driver, who owns the driver, and all of those details. So you can get that from the device manager. Okay, so look at what I said. All of the details, you can get that for each of the drivers. Okay. Some troubleshooting issues. If you have issues, let's say your camera is not showing, you can check device driver to see if it's installed, or you can reinstall, or you can get a new driver and install. And most manufacturers are going to have their drivers on their site. 10, 15, 20 years ago, let's say before, manufacturers will normally send their, they'll sell their device, their computers with the device driver. But most of the time, those device drivers are now on their site. HP, let's say HP X30 360 driver for maybe touchscreen or for, let's say, display. That is a display driver. You see that on the site. So you don't need to maybe go buy a driver, or no, you could just easily download that from the site. Select your operating system, and once you select the operating system, you hit enter, and or I'll tell it to detect your driver, or you just pick for this particular Pavilion X30. Look at all the drivers, just like we device driver, just like we have it. Sorry, just like we have it here, right? So for the network adapters, so for the different type, depending on the brand, the driver for it, for graphics, the drivers, possible drivers for it, right? For the keyboard, for the audio, for the sound, for everything, you can easily get drivers from the manufacturer site. So that can help you troubleshoot most of your issues. Certificates manager. So this will help us, especially for root certificates, for signing in, signing out of the system. Everything will be stored in the certificates manager. So see all the certificates when it's issued, very synonymous to web certificates. Right? If it's for websites, you see certificates, see the, sorry, a second. Certificate, secured, learn more. No, that's not what I wanted. Site settings. Let me just right click this, secured. Yes, learn more. Certificate is valid. Yes. So you see the who issued it, issued by, the date it was issued, the fingerprint, what encryption technology is it using, the details, and who issued it, the serial number, the algorithm used, all of those details. That's what you also have for PCs, for the sign-in, the server authentication, who issued it, what date, what time, and of course the status. Local users and groups. So all of the users you have on the PC and the groups they belong to, you could set up a group to manage, let's say, printers or all of the PCs, so that they can share a particular printer, they could share a particular device, they could share a particular hardware, they could share anything. So you're able to do that in the group, user group and policies. Now, performance monitor. So the Windows Performance Monitor feature can help you get real-time performance monitoring or to record performance over time. So on your CMD, you just type perf_mon or your run prompt, and it's going to take you to this interface. Okay, they didn't show the interface. So, but let's just try them. additional tools. So you have the system information 32, very, very critical. And this is a part of your operating system that most malware will want to affect, because they hold quite a lot of information with regards to your hardware and regards to your software. So if you want to check system information, you just say system information. Tap that, you can get quite a lot of information about the computer, who owns it, the manufacturer, the build, the type of system, the what was it called? You could see quite a lot. You could see by components, by the hardware, by the components, by the software environments, right? You could see the system drivers that are installed. You could see the services. You could see if there are print jobs available that have not been printed or that are on the pool. Then for components, you can see the different input-output devices in their category in clear detail. So this is the system information. For mine is still loading. Okay, so I have to select a subcategory. For my keyboard, gives me details about my keyboard, tell me how many keys my keyboard have. My CD-ROM tells me the kind of, I don't have a CD-ROM on this PC. You see, I was trying to check something in the office today, and there's an CD drive. I tried to see if I can install Office. I use a different software, WPS, on this stuff. I got an external CD-ROM, and I got busy. I just removed it. So that's why this guy is disturbing and coming on and off. So there's this system. It's a thin, slim PC. It doesn't have a CD-ROM. So if it has, you're going to see it here. Sound device. What sound device? This is my driver, a manufacturer rather, and this is the driver. I think this is the manufacturer. I think this is the driver. So you also have, in terms of memory, what memory, type of memory you're using, and all of that. So you could get that in system information. Resource monitor, if you just touch on the most important aspects, I will move on. System configuration utility, these are features. This cleanup, very, very important feature. This defragmentation, most important. One thing you need to understand about this defragmentation is, imagine if you have a house and you return from work, you just keep your clothes. You return from work, you keep your car key. You return from work, you keep your bag. You return from work, keep your shoes. You're just keeping things in your house, in your room, anyhow. Anything goes. Now, a time is going to come, if you're looking for an item, it's going to be difficult for you to look for it. So you're going to be very slow to just locate an item. So things are going to be very fragmented. So defragmentation means we want to sort, arrange, order. And that's what disk defragmentation does to your hard disks. So if you want to get to that utility, just say disk defragmentation, right? So you could defragment and optimize your drives, right? So I have one drive, another drive, another. These two are part of one drive, a 500 gig external hard disk. This is a 1 terabyte internal hard disk. So you could analyze and see if there is need for you to defragment first. Then you can now optimize, right? So once you do that, it's going to actually now clean up, like make sure that everything is sorted out and arranged. So the system is going to be a little bit faster compared to when it was fragmented. So the Windows registry has a hierarchical database of everything and configuration on your system, right? You want to be careful before you do either changes or modification, right? That's why you see this caution here. This should never be edited unless you have a backup already. You should be a power user to try to do most of those changes. Okay, control panel. So control panel is going to have all of the details you have on your PC in terms of configuration. So that's where you do configuration. That's where you do, if you do Windows R, you're going to go straight, or rather, if you do, yes, Windows R and you type control, you're going to go to your control panel. So in your control panel, that's where you're going to see your, just think about configuring anything on your PC, whether it's your printers, whether it's your remote desktop connections or computing, whether it's your network shares, whether anything you can think about, that's where you can do it. You want to set your date and time, your Windows firewall, your firewall settings, your sound system recovery, everything. That's where you could do it. Create restore points. We've talked about restore points before. Now that is where you can do all of that. You find that in your control panel. If I have time, I think maybe I will do a video to pick each of the control panel settings and walk you through how to do them, because they're quite much, right? Control panel. So control panel, you have the small icon version and you have the large icon version, right? Then you have the category-based version. So here it's about hardware and sound, network, security settings, user account, appearance, clock and region, ease of access, right? So I think if I have time, maybe sometime in the future, I'll try to explore most of these features so that for persons that will need to know basic PC usage, this is going to come very, very handy for you to work your way around, of course, and also on a Mac computer. So there are things that we're going to learn later on. I think some of these things have been covered in terms of device and printers. On installing programs, we're going to see that in chapter 6. We've done viewing and managing connection in chapter 2 already. Configuring security, we're going to do that, I think, next after this module. Then Outlook, we've talked about that, mails. Then setting up your speaker, headphone, microphones, managing sound and themes. We've looked at that in chapter 1. User account, how to create a user, add a user to the computer, delete the user, change the password. You can do that from your control panel. You can also just go straight and say user management, or rather user account, right? You could do all of those management straight saying user account. Okay, I see that didn't come up. Let me do that again. User account. Yes, what will be happening? Let me close this up, Is there anything I'm not seeing? Okay, yes, 2 times, the old open 2 times. So so this is managing users. This is not where I wanted to go to. So I'm going to cancel this and I'm going to go to control panel. Once I get to control panel, I'm going to go to close this up. I'm going to go to small icons. Then I'm going to try to navigate. Sorry. I'm going to try to navigate users. Second, you could search also from here. User. So you're going to see remove user, create a standard user. So you have different user types. You have a standard user, you have an admin user, right? Of course, an admin user is a power user. I could create an account, right? If I create an account, it then means I can add a new user to this PC. It then means that somebody else can use this computer, right? I don't want to do that now. So I've talked about device manager and all of this. Okay, power options. So if you need to, I think some time ago, it's not too long, a week or two, I closed up my laptop and my wife said, okay, I think that's not good. I said, yes, most people have the notion that, okay, if you close up your laptop, or that is the display, that is the screen, it's going to affect the system or something nature. It doesn't work that way. If the PC have already been configured to hibernate or to shut down, when you close the lid, that's the right word, that's fine then. So closing the lid of a laptop does not affect the system in any way. So if you go to power options, you could decide to do different things when you do different things. You could say, okay, when on power, do I need to turn off display? Never. You see, my PC is always never. So I always want a situation whereby if I'm working, if I sleep off, if I doze off, if I get busy doing something, I don't want my display to be switched off. I want it to still be on. Now, you could change your power settings, or you could do some editing. You could do some kind of okay, look at this place. Choose what closing the lid does. So what you're trying to say is that if I press the power button, what should you do? You could decide what you want to do. If you just want to turn off only the display, that is, the screen is going to go blank, but the PC will still be on. You can decide to do that. If you want to say, okay, let it hibernate, anything you decide to do, right? So I prefer it hibernates or it sleeps, right? I'll prefer sleep. Okay, let's do some difference. Let's do some comparative analysis right now. So let's say hibernates versus sleep versus shutdown versus standby. Let's see if I can see a comparative analysis. What you're going to be concerned about is how much power is going to be used. I'm looking for a table. Okay, let's ask ChatGPT. So let's say let me just pick that and so look at the differences here. What happens in different situations? This is from Microsoft, right? In Windows 10, what happens when you shut down or when you sleep and when you hibernate? Different from different operating systems. So because you can study this, but let me just, I'm on ChatGPT 4, so it's still very recent. So let me just ask my question head on. Okay, let me see. So I need a very concise and detailed comparison between shutdown, sleep, hibernate on a Windows PC based on version, e.g. Windows 10, 11, 8, 7. I need my response in a tabular format. I'd like it to be in tabular format so that you can actually grab and I can do more detailed explanation for you. So look at what happens here. So power consumption, when you shut down, when you sleep, when you hibernate, what happens? If you run ChatGPT, and you could try this out and like go over them and get to understand what's happening, but I'll just explain a few of them. Power consumption, if you shut down, do you consume power? No. When you sleep, low. Hibernate, none after hibernation. Now that's why I prefer to hibernate. Sorry, that's why I prefer to sleep than hibernate, because most of the times when your system is coming back on track, it's faster. See, that's why the boot time is short. That's why I prefer this. So if I just tap on any of the keypad or any of the key buttons, it's up. It doesn't need to like try to boot up, no. But in hibernation, it's what's it called? It's moderate. Whereas if it's shut down, it's going to take a lot of time to do that. Then of state of preservation, what is preserved? Nothing is preserved. But in sleep and hibernate, everything you do is going to remain there. RAM usage, so you have difference in disk space. So hibernate requires disk space, whereas sleep does not, right? So you see updates, what can happen? Can they be installed? What's delayed? Hardware access. So you have all of those differences, you could study them, and it's helped you decide what best you want to do. So that's Hibernate, different power plants. So in our configuration, we could decide what we need, whether we want, let me go back. So we have balanced. Then we could change a different power setting. Sorry, just a second. So balance is recommended. I think change what computers, choose when to create a power plan, or you can even create a power plan if you wish. So you could just give it a name. Okay, this is it here: balanced, power saver, and high performance. You could create one so that you select it, and so that when you select that particular plan, it's going to now tell what to do. So you don't need to be touching or trying to do different configurations for different times. You just select that plan, and you can tell what is going to happen when you sleep, when you hibernate, and all of that. So look at, you have them here. These are default: balance, power saver, high performance, and ultimate performance. This is going to take a lot of RAM space. It's going to take a lot of battery. You're going to have your highest screen brightness. So I normally use my screen brightness. I love it high. I have always prayed for a very nice eye. I might need protective glasses soon, but brighter screen is going to take your, what's it called? It's going to take your what's it called? Your RAM, your processors. It's going to take a lot of things because you're going to be using a lot of battery. This is going to help save a lot of things. So sleep suspend, get to know their differences. What happens when you stand by, when you close the lid, and when and all of those details, like what I've explained. So you decide what you want. Just go to the power options. Okay, window settings. So this way you can decide to do some settings with regards to your date and time, right? Like I remember a very new student that just resumed. He had issues with the date and time on his PC, but you have it here. You could just select your date and time, right? And you select your time zone, or you just go to your search and say time zone, date and time, and you can select the time zone that you prefer, right? You can select your time zone, and you're going to save to CMOS. Update and security, you can also decide when you want to update, that. But we're going to see more of that in chapter 7, I think the next chapter. They have some little personalization, choosing background picture, like my background picture. This is what my background picture looks like. Colors, lock screen, themes, fonts, stats. I think let's go over that. That's personalized. So a whole lot of things you could do. You could background, your color, your themes. If I decide to use this theme, it's going to apply and everything is going to change. If you go back to my desktop, this is what I'm going to see. Then if I depend on the color that I choose, if I choose this, that's what is going to happen. So you see my tax bar, what it looks like. Then I could choose custom colors. So you see my tax bar, the way it is looking, contrast color, how do I want things to see? Depending on my eyesight, how good it is. I think I'm on the default, night sky. You could select desert, night sky. And once you do that, apply it. It's going to like change the entire theme of the computer, and depending on what best suits the user. Let's wait for that. Very horrible. So I'm going to go back to my default. Let me try aquatic and apply. Terrible. I'll just go back to my default, which is none. So people are going to find this very fun. Some people are going to find this very fancy. I like using things the way they are. So kind of very minimalistic. So let me revert to what I had before. Okay, so that's all of personalization. You could come here and do a lot of changes. So that's the background, the color, the lock screen, the theme, the font, the start Windows key, the taskbar. You can do all of that in that settings. Privacy, quite a lot of things you can do. So this is just an overview of configurations you can do on your PC, network settings. Okay, I think I'm going to pause this here and I'm going to continue in another series and I will continue. Let me see how much we have more. So I'm going to do this in 2-part series. Just a second. Let me see how far we have more. Okay, so I think I'll pause here and I'll break this and go to be 2-part series. Okay, let me go back. Where did we stop? Okay, I think we stopped here. So we're going to do it as a 2-part series. We're going to continue from what is it called? Network settings. So this is very crucial. So I'm going to break now. We're going to go on a break. When we return, we're going to look at just a moment. Yes, we stopped somewhere here. Update security personalization. So 600. Okay, so in the next series, we're going to continue from personalization and we're going to see how much we can cover and lay the foundation. Very crucial, important things for a desktop technician, somebody that's going to be troubleshooting, somebody that's going to be maintaining, somebody that's going to be setting up PCs, networks, doing basic IT support. So thank you very much. Glad you've gone through up to this point. See you in the next session.